Wow, what a week in AI, right? It felt like major news was dropping from every direction. We saw a new Chinese image model trained completely without any Western tech. Then Google dropped a huge upgrade to its video AI. We got a medical model that could literally change how doctors work, and to top it all off, a pair of smart glasses that feel like they're straight out of a sci-fi movie. Now, at first glance, you might think, okay, what do any of these have to do with each other? But what if they're not separate stories at all? What if they're actually connected battles in a hidden war for the future of AI?
You know, we hear it all the time in the news, the AI race. It's talked about like it's this one single event, like the Olympics with one finish line. But is it really that simple? Or is something way bigger and way more complicated happening right under our noses? All right, let's break this down, because this is the key. The AI race isn't a single sprint. It's really more like a global conflict being fought on four totally distinct strategic fronts. And I promise you, once you see these four fronts, all the chaotic news from this week is going to snap right into focus. So let's dive into front number one, the national stack. This is the big one, folks. This is the high-stakes geopolitical chess match for complete and total technological independence. It's all about nations building their own AI ecosystems from the ground up, so they're totally insulated from foreign pressure and, well, sanctions. The core idea here is something called full-stack AI independence. Now, you've probably heard the term full stack, right? It just means controlling every single layer of the technology. The best analogy I can think of is baking a cake, but like really from scratch. You're not just mixing ingredients someone else sold you. You're growing the wheat for the flour, you're raising the chickens for the eggs, you're mining the metal to build the oven. For a country, this means controlling the chips, the software frameworks, and the AI models themselves. This goes way beyond business. We're talking about national security and economic destiny.
And this comparison just lays it all out perfectly. On one side, you have the Western stack that's been dominant for years, built almost entirely on NVIDIA's powerful chips and software like PyTorch. But look at the other side. China is aggressively building a parallel universe. Huawei's Ascend chips, their own Mindspore framework, and now this new GLM image model from Zhipu, which was trained exclusively on this homegrown hardware. This isn't just innovation, it's a direct strategic response to being cut off from Western tech. And listen, this wasn't some happy accident. Zhang Wendi from Zhipu AI made it crystal clear. The goal from day one was full-stack innovation. They deliberately designed their model to work specifically on Huawei's Ascend chips. This is a calculated, strategic move in a global chess game. This is not just another academic paper. And here is the part that should really get your attention. This isn't just a science project. The cost to generate a single image on this new, independent Chinese stack is just 0.1 yuan. That's incredibly cheap. That's commercially competitive pricing. It's a massive signal to the world that this alternative stack isn't just working, it's ready for business and it's ready for scale.
Okay, so that's front one, building a whole new, self-reliant world of technology. Now let's pivot to our second front, the ecosystem offensive. This strategy isn't about building a new stack from scratch. No, this is about conquering the one we all already live and work in every single day.
And Google's latest update to its video model Veo 3.1 is the perfect example of this. I mean, they're not just tweaking it, they're loading it up with features that creators have been begging for. You can now generate a video from a single reference image, giving you amazing control. It natively supports vertical video. Hello, YouTube Shorts and TikTok. It outputs in a crisp 1080p. And maybe most importantly, it finally nails character consistency, so your characters look the same from shot to shot.
But the real genius here, the actual power move, isn't just the tool itself. It's where they're putting it. Look at this. It's not some standalone app you have to go find and download. It's being pushed out simultaneously into the consumer Gemini app, into creator tools like YouTube, into enterprise products, and right into the developer backbone through APIs. Google is fighting this war by weaving AI so deeply into its existing ecosystem that it just becomes part of your digital life. It becomes the default.
And they're playing the log game here, wrapping it all up with a bow of trust. Every single video made with Veo is automatically embedded with Synth ID, which is their invisible digital watermark. In an age of deep fakes and misinformation, this move positions Google's tools as not just the most powerful choice, but also the most responsible and transparent one. It's a very clever strategy.
All right, on to front three. AI enters the hospital. Now think of this as a specialized version of that ecosystem war we just talked about. But instead of conquering everyday consumers, the goal here is to conquer incredibly high-stakes, high-value professional workflows.
Okay, just look at these numbers. This is what specialization gets you.
When Google's medical-specific model, MedASR, went head-to-head with OpenAI's Whisper, which is a fantastic but general-purpose model, the results were just staggering. MedASR had an 82% reduction in transcription errors on medical dictations. In a hospital, that's not just a small improvement, that is a life-saving, lawsuit-preventing game-changer. And it's not a one-trick pony either. The new MedGemma 1.5 model is showing these huge leaps across the board. Look at the jump in accuracy for medical reasoning, from 68% all the way up to 90%. It's getting so much better at understanding the unique, complex language of lab reports and even helping to identify disease findings in MRIs. Why? Because it's been trained specifically for the language and logic of medicine.
But here's the thing, all that power doesn't mean a thing if a hospital can't actually afford to run it. And that's where this 4B model size is so important. That B stands for billion parameters. Think of it as the number of neurons in the AI's brain. 4 billion is that perfect sweet spot. Powerful enough for these super complex medical tasks, but still small and efficient enough for a real-world hospital to deploy without needing to build a new data center. This is how these tools actually get into the hands of doctors.
All right, let's get to our fourth and final front. And this one feels like it's pulled right out of science fiction. This is the battle to break AI out of our screens, out of our phones and laptops, and move it seamlessly into the physical world around us. And you might be surprised to hear that a huge part of this battle comes down to something so simple, yet so critical: weight. On the one hand, you have the new Rokeed AI glasses. On the other, the popular Meta Ray-Bans. The Rokeed glasses are nearly 20 grams lighter. Now that might not sound like a lot, but for something you're supposed to wear on your face all day, oh yeah, you'd definitely notice the difference.
But honestly, the weight is just the beginning. The features they've packed into these things are kind of nuts. They can connect to multiple different AIs, not just one company's. They record in 4K. They can translate almost 90 languages in real time. You can even control them just by nodding or shaking your head. But the feature that really feels like the future? Ali Plus Glass Pay. You can literally pay for something just by looking at a QR code. It's wild.
And if you're thinking, yeah, I'll see this in 10 years, think again. Just look at how fast Rocket is moving. They had a massively successful Kickstarter, and the first version is launching globally in January 2026. And the even more advanced version, the one that actually projects images into your field of view, that's planned for just a few months after that. The hardware front is heating up, and it is moving incredibly fast. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground. We've looked at 4 completely different battlefields, 4 totally different strategies. It leaves us with a huge question. Which of these fronts is actually going to win? Which one will define our future?
So let's just run through them one last time. First, you've got the national stack, that race for pure technological independence. Second, the ecosystem, the war to get integrated into every part of our digital lives. Third, the workflow, that targeted battle to own specific, high-value industries like medicine. And fourth, the interface, that ambitious push to get AI off our screens and into the real world.
You see, each one of these fronts represents a fundamentally different vision for how we're all going to live and work with artificial intelligence. So I'll leave you with this to think about. Stacks, ecosystems, workflows, or interfaces. Which of these fronts will be the one to truly define the next decade? The answer is far from certain, but one thing is crystal clear. The real AI race is so much more complex and infinitely more interesting than we ever imagined.